Welcome to the Directors Dialogue, the official podcast of the Chartered Institute of Directors, Nigeria. This podcast is really about strengthening engagement with members and partners, promoting thought leadership on corporate governance and business ethics. On this episode, this March edition is in commemoration of the International Women's Day. And this is really dedicated to spotlighting the role of women in corporate leadership and governance. Today, we are aligning with this year's theme, Give to Gain. This episode really explores a powerful and timely call to action. And the theme underscores a fundamental truth. When individuals, organizations, and institutions intentionally invest in women, we unlock broader opportunities. We build stronger systems, and we create more inclusive and thriving societies. Through today's conversation, we reaffirm our commitment to inclusive governance, leadership excellence, and sustainable institutional growth. Just in case you don't know anything about the CIoD Nigeria, we are the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria, and it's the leading community for directors and business leaders across the country. We are about helping directors grow, lead better, and make a real impact on their organizations and beyond. Over the years, CIoD has worked hand in hand with government bodies, top corporations, business chambers, and diplomatic partners to raise the bar for good governance and leadership in Nigeria. It's commitments that keeps attracting exceptional leaders and forward-thinking professionals in the Institute. In 2023, we hit a major milestone. The Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria Establishment Act number 48 of 2023 was officially signed into law. This act gives formal recognition to CIoD Nigeria as the professional body responsible for training directors, promoting sound governance, accountability, and leadership excellence across the country. We're proud of how far we've come and even more excited about how far we are going. So I am Yetunde Bankole-Bernard, but everyone calls me YBB. Today, I'm the moderator for this session, and I am the Group Executive Director at Finchglow Holdings. Finchglow Holdings is a group of 6 companies in the aviation, travel, and tour industry. I am also an executive member of the Women's Sectoral Group of the Chartered Institute of Directors. Enjoy. So today, without saying too much, I'm going to introduce you to our guest. And I'm going to just read quickly the profile of Mrs. Ronke Sokefun, F.CIoD. Mrs. Ronke Sokefun is a distinguished legal practitioner with nearly 4 decades of professional experience as a corporate general counsel, senior government official, and a leading law firm partner. She previously held key roles at Ihodalo and Associates, as well as Aluko and Oyebode, where she became a partner. She was head of management services of Ocean and Oil Services in 2002, rising to the position of Group Chief Legal Officer at Oando PLC in 2007. She served in the Ogun State government as DG Bureau of Lands and Survey, Commissioner for Agriculture, and later Commissioner for Urban and Physical Planning, providing strategic leadership and overseeing seamless execution of government policies from 2011 to 2018. She also served as the first female chair of the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation between 2018 and 2022. She leads the MRS Foundation, which key focus is social interventions. She's currently a partner at Templars, a leading multinational law firm, and heads the board advisory services team with the firm's corporate and commercial practice group. She's a fellow of the Institute of Directors, where she chairs the Women's Sectoral Group, and also a member of several other professional bodies. In December 2025, she was awarded the Olutoyin Olakunrin Woman Director of the Year Award by the Chartered Institute of Directors Nigeria. She holds an LLB from the Ogun State University in 1987 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1988. Mrs. Sokefun was appointed the Board of Directors of Wando PLC in 2021 and currently chairs the Corporate Governance, People and Nominations Committee and is also a member of the Risk, Environmental, Social and Government Committee. Ladies and gentlemen, I assume they're gentlemen here, please join me and enjoy this conversation as I welcome Mrs. Ronke Sokefun. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
I have so many questions, and I'm looking forward to this conversation. And I'm just going to start, if you permit me, ma'am, with the first one. And the first one really is, as a woman in leadership, what would you say your immediate challenges or recognition of what you had to be and what you had to do were in your first moments of, okay, this is my role, this is why I'm here. So what was the initial responsibility? What was that like for you on what you had to be and what you had to do?
Okay, thank you, YBB, and thank you for having me today. What were those immediate calls to actions? I think that's what your question really. It's for me. It's standing up to be counted. It's leaving that role. When I said bringing it to life, you don't just become a leader and think things will work out by themselves. You have to develop a framework for yourself within which you execute whatever it is that's on your plate. So be it as partner in a law firm, guiding younger lawyers, contributing to the overall success of the firm, or whether you are leading a pack of women like I do in the Chartered Institute of Directors. And there's a myth that all women can't work together. And I think so far we've defied that myth. You have a lot of people that are opinionated. The important thing is to be able to sift. No opinion is useless. That's first and foremost my opinion and my view. So what I do is I take on board all suggestions and then I sift through and then I pick the ones that I think first some must align with yours. And then there's some, whether you like it or not, that are superior to yours. You also look at how to wrap those into your whole thought process. So that way you have a workable sort of code that guides your everyday execution. So generally, in terms of leadership for me, it's always all about inclusivity. I like to carry everyone along with me. Let me hear your thoughts. Let me hear your views. And sometimes it's even frustrating when you don't hear from people because it almost signifies a lack of interest. But then some people are just reticent by nature. Not that they mean any harm, but sometimes they're not forthcoming because they're not certain whether or not their voices carry any weight. So you see them pull back. So it's your job as a leader to identify such people and draw them out. I've had to sit on a board. I think there were 12, 13 board members. And apart from, there were only 2 females, and I was chair. You were dealing with people with diverse culture, some people who are not used to female leadership, some who naturally feel superior, So again, you have to work around each individual to get the best out of them.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I mean, what you have said has sort of like led me to my next thoughts and questions, and that will be, just going with the theme for this year, give to gain. Okay. What have you had to give, and what do you think you've gained?
For me, it's always about, there must be something that you hold dearly as an individual. I would say personally, my time, my social capital, because whether you like it or not, you have a pool of people that are like your go-to. So when you start leaning on that for the benefit of others, that's a lot to give. And when I say time, we're here this morning. You have things to do outside the work of the institute. This is not our core did 9 to 5. This is not, do you understand what I mean? But you are here out of the love to see things work out here. Same as me. So that's given. We're speaking this morning because somebody, 1, 2 people out there, they'll benefit from this conversation. I also mentor. The institute started a program, I think about last year, 2 years ago, and I had 2 mentees. When I met initially, when the names were sent to me, I'm one of those people. I don't like digging. I like, you know, I like coming. I like people coming onto me the way they are. I don't want to have any thoughts behind my mind before I meet them. So I didn't do any research about them. When I met them, I was like, wow, what are they looking for? One is a very, very senior person in a bank, in a systemically important bank, as we used to call them, in Nigeria. The other person owns her own business and has owned that, her business for years. So I was curious. I was like, you already have your own company. What are you looking for? She says, oh, her desire all her life had been to sit on somebody else's board just for the experience of it. And thankfully, during the course of our mentorship, I think she got 1 or 2 board appointments. Just last week, she shared with me, she said, oh, I conducted my very first ever board evaluation. And that's refreshing. There's also Wimbies. I also mentor for them. I think this is my year 6 or 7. So those come to you naturally when you just want to impart your own knowledge on others. And you are actually developing and growing another generation of leaders because the stage is already shifting.
So would you say that gaining for you is just knowing that you are paying it forward? Is that what you're saying? But because I said, okay, when you give all of these things, what do you believe that you've gained? So for you, are you saying that that's it? Or there's a little bit more on what you feel like, okay, I'm gaining from this? I mean, I'm saying this because there's so many people that don't even know why they give. Why do we give?
I know. Personally, I don't expect any returns. I do it because it comes naturally to me. And in giving that way, sometimes when I speak, I hear myself speak. Those things also resonate with me. So it's almost like training myself. It's almost like mentoring myself. There's certain things you say to third parties that you then try and imbibe as a person. One of my previous mentees, she had always worked. Her bosses had always been expatriates. For the first time ever, she was going to have a Nigerian as a boss. And the Nigerian boss was at some point close to being her pair. They were close. She panicked because she didn't know how she was going to relate to him in that role. And I said to her, let it flow. Don't be hung up on, things that you have no control over. It has happened, let it go. I found myself in a similar situation months after. Not necessarily that I'd worked with expatriates, but I was going to work with somebody I was close to or I used to be close to. And I was like, okay, does this change the relationship? How does this translate? And so far it's worked out well. I see him as the de facto, head. I defer to him as such. And I see that way the respect remains mutual. So call it paying forward, but there's something about it that always resonates and comes back to you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
You were talking about women on boards. And I mean, so what are your thoughts on how do women really intentionally open the door for other women? So from what you said, you sort of like already said that. Mm-hmm. But what are the deliberate, intentional ways that we as women can open the door for other women?
I am lucky to sit on boards that are properly structured. And what do I mean by that? You're either looking for someone in governance or looking for someone in finance, defined roles. So when that happens, when those opportunities come, your immediate instinct is, oh my God, who do I know? That's an expert in this field. And you reach out and you let them know, oh, this board is shopping for 1, 2 people. And you may, qualify. Has it always worked? No. What do I mean by that? I remember opening the door for someone, and I sat on because whether you like it or not, even hiring onto boards comes with chats and what have you, because people want to know that it's the right fit for their board. So because I've always sat on governance, not as chair, but as a member, I've always sat in on those interviews. And the lady's profile, solid. I've never met her, but I just liked her profile. And she came, really highly recommended. And she came in for the chat. I was, excitedly looking forward to chatting with her and all. And the first question about, oh, what do you know about this company? Honestly, I almost sank into my chair because she was like, oh, she doesn't really know much. She didn't have time to do any research. I'm like, you got the notice, you were. So it's you do your part. But whoever it is that you're putting forward also has to play their role. You do not go for whether even as students, you didn't go for an interview ill prepared. Even if they call it a chat, do you understand what I mean? You must have done some behind the scene research to familiarize yourself. For instance, you could even have a conflict. So how do you attend, such a chat only to find out eventually that you have a conflict? Like I can't sit on the boards of two oil and gas companies because of conflict issues. Because you're going to be discussing strategy, you're going to be discussing roles. Exactly. So, yeah, so you intentionally open those doors. You look out for people that fit the profile that you're looking for, and then the rest takes care of itself.
Just as you were saying, all of the things that you were saying, it looks to me like there is a flip question.
Yes, ma'am.
And that will really be for women looking out for other women to open doors for them. What do they need to be doing apart from? So some people just say things like, oh, well, I prepared. What else can I do? Like, I just don't get these opportunities. What do they need to be doing or looking out for themselves?
I personally think a lot of people have, high expectations when it comes to board roles. It's normal. Um, Unfortunately, also people think board roles must come closer to your retirement, so it becomes like a buffer. You have to start from some point. It could even be an NGO. It's for you to gain that experience. People are looking for experienced board members. They're not looking for rookie board members that they're going to have to train. So even if it's your friend's company or something, or one, maybe the fees are not even anything substantial, start. There is no way you start sitting in board meetings that you don't gain experience, that then transits into something that then positions you for bigger board roles. So I think, apart from paper qualification, a lot of us also need to network more. People think networking is done just by attending events, and no. And then you attend events, what do you do there? Do you walk the room? Or do you just stick to your comfort zone? The people okay, I'm here, I know you today. Let me just go and talk to you today. No. Did you go to that person you never met and a handshake? My name is Ronke Sokefun. Do you understand what I mean? You have to be intentional. That's the word I'm trying to find. You have to be intentional about when you are ready for these board positions. Your paper qualification is not enough. It's not enough. There's a lot more that goes, with it. And you also have to speak up. A lot of us, think those things are going to drop on our laps. There are like 100 Ronkes out there. There are like 200 of us out there hunting for that same, those same boardrooms. So you have to speak up. You have to say to people, oh, I'm actively looking for board positions.
A lot of women, this is what you're saying now, a lot of women struggle with visibility.
Yeah.
So I think that again, with the advent of social media, visibility has almost been bastardized. What does visibility even really mean? Especially when we're talking about boards. What does that, where should I be? What should I be? Where should I be visible?
I think you must position yourself where you say you're an expert. You have to be visible in that sphere, in that space. You must find where it's not coming, where people are not looking for you. You go looking. Where is that conference where they're discussing corporate governance? Can I sneak in? Can I have a role to play? People have asked me before, how much do you charge for speaking? I'm like, people charge. It didn't occur to me because I happily do it because I think it positions me and makes me more visible. And that's what we need to do a lot more of. Don't just be a face in the room, be a voice. And like I said, it could even be a university. Do you understand what I mean? Maybe, I don't know, maybe they have some students' union thing, volunteer, be there. And, it works. Don't wait until the big stage. Oh, Chartered Institute of Directors, are they going to invite me to be a panelist? Those come with time, but you have to start small. As I keep saying, you must build that profile. You and I know how our last conference went. There's certain names every time you try and put an event together, those names are constant. They keep resonating because they're tried and tested. People are comfortable hearing from them. The only thing is, while I have no objections to that, there are like 1 million voices out there waiting to be heard. So sometimes you also have to put in that discovery. Like, I've heard of YBB. Or I was somewhere and this lady spoke and all that. Again, you have to consciously develop those. At our conference last week, there was a lady who held the room spellbound. How many of us had heard of Mrs. Uko before that day? And she just, somebody actually held the microphone and I think called herself a new convert of the Mrs. Uko. So those are the sort of things we need to work on.
I mean,
yes,
very. I had a few questions around visibility, what we need to do, skills, certification, but I think that you have sort of like put it in a nutshell. So do you think that it's just by certification? No. Do you think it's just by visibility? No. You have said so much in that. I think I'm just going to ask a question around what ways can boards move beyond policy statements to real gender inclusion? Now, this whole women on board thing, what's your perspective on that?
I think there are many, many qualified women out there waiting to be discovered, and some have been discovered. When we had the Boardroom Diaries session last year with Auntie Mo, yeah, she said something, and honestly, it stayed with me since then. She's like, I'm not a gender balance in the boardroom. You have to appreciate what I bring to the table.
Yes, ma'am.
So women have to stop seeing themselves as a quota. I am making up the female quota. Ronke Sokefun is on this board because she's a corporate governance specialist. And that doesn't come, with just you dreaming it or talking about it. You mentioned, I didn't dwell on certification because I didn't want it to sound like that's the only thing that you need. But competence, there's no, I took it for granted. I have had to do a course, I think 2-3 years ago, at some institute, Competent Boards Institute based in Canada. So first think about the time difference. I had to do classes twice, I think, a week, all online. You got a case study, and each person had a role to play in that case study. So you had to carry each other along. We had the behind the scene role plays and all that. So what am I trying to say? You have to be competent. You have to be qualified.
Yeah.
And that's the first, that's the first part of call. Every other thing comes in after that.
Yeah. I agree with you. So I think that we've been talking women, but there is the role of male colleagues.
Correct.
So what role do you think that, they should realistically play in this ecosystem of accelerating progress for the women? And how can women engage with this constructively without saying, oh, men do this and women don't get the opportunity for that? So how do we exist in this conversation together for the same purpose or the same goal of progress?
I think more and more men are becoming more comfortable accepting women as their colleagues, as their peers. And only men who are truly progressive will come, would accept that as the norm. The days of undermining females. I think they're long gone. When you sit in a boardroom and your chair is female, when you sit in committees and your chair of that committee is female. Honestly, I think my background also helps. I was born into a family of all girls. And my dad, in fact, my dad couldn't be prouder. Let me just put it that way. He would proudly tell people, oh, me and my girls, you know. And so I was never raised thinking I'm female. I was raised thinking I could play in any sphere, in any space. So that has helped me. But a lot of people still have it at the back of their minds rather, that maybe they're not as superior. I don't want to use another word, you know.
Disadvantaged,
they're not
maybe?
as, you know, as their male contemporaries, as their male colleagues. And I think, you know, it's a mindset thing. If you believe you deserve something or certain things, you must push for it. You must consciously also make your male peers align to your thought process. You don't isolate them, or you don't wield that I'm feminine.
That's it.
You don't wield that card.
Yeah.
You must make them understand that, you know, in this race or in this space, I see us as equals. And men like to be respected. So also accord them that respect. I mean, it's just maybe upbringing also matters. There's a certain deference to men. I'm not saying be subservient. I'm choosing my words carefully. But make them feel appreciated as well. And like I said, stop wielding that feminine card like the world belongs to you, or that it's a matter of right because you're female. It doesn't work like that. Fight for it. Be fair and square. But, you know, let it be known that you are as qualified as your male colleague.
You know, I want to go away from this, but I just can't help myself hovering over this question, this scenario, especially in an African type setting and in in the boardroom. There are almost some unsaid rules or expectations. So how do we, as men and women, navigate these roles of culture, these roles of, should I say, stereotypes? What do we really need to do? And I'm not, you know, making it like you have all the answers, but in your experience, what have you seen has worked? What did the men have to do to make sure that we are advancing? And what did women have to do? I think you've mentioned a bit about women, you know, but what do we really have to do to make sure that we're advancing together?
I'm not sure any man is going to hand you, your flowers, you know, just like that. I mentioned fleetingly at the start of this conversation that I sat on a board of about 12 as chair and one of two females. I had no hand in the appointment of the directors because everybody was appointed, you know, on equal terms, if I may say. And I had on my board an individual who had led a war, a retired general.
Wow.
And so try and picture that sort of individual sitting in a boardroom with me. Perceived me as young, perceived me as, like I said, you know, a female who was yet to explore the world. And he would subconsciously speak in the boardroom and use terms like my dear. And it will rile me up so badly. But I had to hold it in. And then it was early days, because I discovered it very early. So I asked to spend time with him. And I know he has a daughter that he's really passionate about. And I asked him, and I was like, what's your dream for your daughter? You know, where do you want to see her? Like, oh, this and that, you know, build this big castle. I was like, oh, that sounds right. What are you doing? What steps are you encouraging her? And he told me. And I asked him, I said, how would you feel if someone undermined your daughter? He was like, you know, I've killed before. No, his exact expression.
Oh, wow.
He said, I was nearly kidnapped and I killed my kidnapper. I said, oh, you would kill for your daughter? He said, yes. I said, if my father were alive, he would kill for me. You undermine me openly in the boardroom.
Wow.
And I think this should stop. It should be the last time. He was mortified. And, was just so apologetic that he didn't realize. I could have gone away feeling really angry, feeling bad, but I decided to address it. So I think for a lot of us, the important thing is when we notice, we need to address it. Now, going directly, I'm chair. So I was chair. I was just so apologetic that he didn't realize. I could have gone away feeling really angry, feeling bad, but I decided to address it. So I think for a lot of us, the important thing is when we notice, we need to address it. Now, going directly, I'm chair. So I was chair, and that was easier for me. Going directly to that individual may mean, if I wasn't chair, confrontation.
Yeah.
I had similar experiences on another board that I didn't chair. So I escalated to the board chair. And I said to him, this individual has done 1, 2 things. And I believe he's undermining my person. That individual was magnanimous enough to write to me to apologize. Again, he didn't pick it. But it happens with them.
Right.
Another instance, a committee, I used to be chair, but no longer the chair, a female chair. We had a meeting, we said, let's do this. Let's visit one of our sites, and then let's deliberate on it when it comes time. They went on that tour, 2 gentlemen. They didn't give our committee feedback. They had another committee, called the Boys Club, this is all men. And they took that report to that committee, deliberated on it, and submitted their report to the board. Oh, trust me.
Wow.
Oh, we kicked the fuss. The chair is softer than I am. But I said to her, if you take it, I'm not going to accept it. So there was a lot of fuss about it. They ate humble pie, had their tails in between the legs, came back to our committee because we refused to accept that report at board level. You must stamp your authority.
Gotcha.
You must know who you are. You must know what you stand for. You must know your beliefs. And that way, you're not being, yes, you'll get words like she's difficult, she's obstinate, but you have a goal. Once you're not petty, because sometimes it can be, he greeted me flippantly. That's not
the point,
about.
yes.
We're talking, what are the
terms of engagement?
What are the terms of reference of this committee? Are you working within the boundaries or you're outside? Those are the issues. Don't worry about whether somebody greets you politely or not. In fact, somebody doesn't have to greet you.
We don't have to be friends. The work has to work.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I think I'm just going to round this up, by putting this forward and looking ahead, really. What kind of, boardroom culture do we want the younger people, let me say women, to inherit? What do we want to put together as a legacy? If you had to describe what that would look like, what would you say?
I'd like to see a boardroom where all voices matter, where women hold their own, contribute intelligibly and intelligently to conversations, and do not hold seats because of gender only, but because they have something to put on the table. Thank you so much. This has been a very instructive conversation. Thank you for being here. And thank you, guys. See you on the next episode.